Hi, welcome to Annie's. Thanks for signing up for our $5 club. If you're watching this video, you're either doing a makeup class or you've signed up for our club online. Usually at the beginning of our club meetings, I will do a rundown of some new products that we have in the shop and our upcoming classes. Today I'm going to do that very minimal. It'll be real quick because we have a lot of details to go over for this new $5 club since it's the first month. So we're very excited to get started this year. We do have some fun classes coming up in August. At the end of August, we are doing 2 cathedral pillowcases. This is a technique that Erica Plank of Unseen Hands has made just a little bit simpler using her heat-resistant template, and you use your machine to do the stitching. This is not a hand-sewing cathedral window. So this is a great class coming up at the end of the month. You can check our event calendar online to get more details on that. A couple other classes we have coming up. The photo transfer class is on August 19th in the afternoon, so that will be a fun class to take too. We also have August 19th in the morning our beginning dye class. This is just a sample of what you can do with fabrics that you have done all your own hand dyeing. These are gorgeous colors, and this is a lot of fun to take this class, and you can mess up our little home here in the quilt shop instead of making a mess and learning how to do it at home by yourself. And again, you can check our event calendar for that one too. We have a couple kids classes coming up at the end of the month. This is our advanced kids class. It's for intermediate quilters, and they do a little bit more piecing. And then for those beginning quilters, for the kids class, we have applique cat on a pillow. And so all of these you can get more details about online, but if you're interested in any of our upcoming classes, please let us know. Now we're going to get right down to business and talk about this year's $5 club. Just a couple details. If you're doing this club online, you need to watch this video by the 10th of the month to get your block for free. If you're doing this as a makeup class, you still need, and you missed your actual class, you will still need to pay $5 to pick up your fat quarter for that month, or for this month. If you come to every class, you will get your fat quarter and your pattern for free. But if you miss a class and need to do a makeup class, then you'll have to pay $5 to pick that block up. And same thing with mailing. If you don't watch the video by the 10th of the month, we will charge you $5 to mail your block and pattern to you. So, a couple of things. When you signed up for this class, you committed to purchasing the finishing fabrics for this quilt, which includes everything you need for the top and the binding. You will get another set of fat quarters. You will get 12 fat quarters for free, and you will get 17 third yards for different background fabrics. Then you will get your inner ring fabric, which is this inner ring on our quilt here, and you will get your main background fabric, which is the consistent background color that you use throughout the quilt. You'll be using these background colors in all of your small blocks. So to make your first block this month, you're going to need to finish paying for your set of fat quarters that you picked when you signed up. You paid $23 for those. You need to pay the other $23. And then you also need to pick up your first set of background colors. Then you will get a free fat quarter if you attend class this month. So those are the 3 things you need to get started. This quilt also uses 2 rulers, the companion angle and the easy angle ruler. I will always demo how to use these. Your very first month, you only need to use this ruler. And I'll do a quick demo at the end of this little details lecture to let you know how to use that. A couple other things before you start a new project, and especially a great big project like this one, it's always good to change your blade on your rotary cutter. These do wear out. They get little nicks in them, and if you're finding that you're not able to cut through maybe 2 layers of fabric with ease, then you probably have a little nick in your rotary cutter, and so it would be a good idea to start with a fresh blade. Your rotary mats, as you can see, can get used up also, and then they actually will cause nicks in your rotary blade. So if you haven't gotten a new mat in a while, I would suggest a new mat also. And then I always start with new thread, beginning a new project. Depending on your background color is what kind of thread you should use. We have just gotten a new display of Orfil thread, and it's one of my favorite threads to use. It's a little less expensive, and you get a little more thread on the spool. So if you haven't tried it, it's definitely worth your time. We also still carry the Metler thread, of course, that if you're familiar with it and you like it, it's great to stick with what you're used to. We do have pre-wound bobbins, so you can pick a matching color of pre-wound bobbins if they work in your machine. Otherwise, I'd suggest buying a few empty bobbins and starting out your quilt just by winding a few bobbins, so you always have an extra. The other thing you should always do when you start a new project is change your needle. It's always best to start a project with a fresh needle so you know there's no nicks or bends or anything in your needle. So the key to starting a new project and doing it very precisely is using precise tools. The more precise your tools are, the more precise your cutting and stitching will be. So those are just a couple details to get you started. The other thing I want to remind you is that with this quilt, if you keep up with us each month and do your block that you're supposed to do each month, by July, when you pick up your last block, you will have completed your quilt. You'll work on your very last border in July. So at the end of July, you will have your entire top finished, and then you can take it home, layer it, quilt it, and bind it. So it's pretty cool. As long as you keep up, you won't have a lot of work to do at the end. You'll be finished with your top. So that's a really nice way to do a block of the month. A couple tips in particular regarding this quilt. When you have your pattern in front of you, you'll notice a couple unique things that she does. One of the things she does is she gives you your cutting instructions for as many blocks as you're going to make that month. So for instance, if you have to make 2 blocks in month 1, which you do, you'll be making this block and this block. She'll tell you how to cut for both blocks. Your piecing instructions are for 1 block. So cut all your pieces, piece 1 block, and then you'll repeat and piece a 2nd block. So that's an easy thing to remember. The other thing you might notice is every once in a while after her cutting dimension, so if she says cut a 2.5, she might put the little plus symbol. So it might say cut 2.5 plus inches. If she does that, she's referring to having you cut between the 2.5 mark and the 2 and 5/8 inch mark. So I'm going to hold this ruler up here. Here's your 2.5 mark, and right here would be the 5/8 inch mark. So you're going to cut right between that, just between the mark she says and the next 1/8 inch up. And that's what she means by plus. She just wants it a tad bit bigger, about a 1/16 of an inch bigger. So that's just something unique she does. Each of your patterns shows a pressing direction. So you're going to press towards the direction of the arrows that she has on your pattern. So that's another key thing to remember for this pattern. All the seams require a 1/4 inch seam. So another good thing to check before you get started is your 1/4 inch seam guide. If you like to use a 1/4 inch piecing foot, that's great. Go ahead. You may want to check it, do a little sample piece and make sure it's a nice 1/4 inch before you get started. Let's see, some of the other tips. So this month you're going to make this block. And one of the things to remember in making this quilt is this is a scrappy quilt, and it's your quilt. So if you are someone who's not afraid of scrappy, go for it. Pick any color and put them together, because you will find that, especially in making a scrappy quilt, you can throw out all those color reels and realize that any color goes together, okay, and it turns out beautiful. If you've been in the shop and seen Mom's quilt that she made in this color wave, she went totally scrappy, closed her eyes, picked a color, and put it in the block and stuck with it. I started out scrappy, you can see in my center blocks, and then I decided to go a little bit more of a pattern on my way out and use some of the same colors. So it really depends on what you like and how you do it. This is your quilt. If you are someone who is very stuck on having similar colors and making sure they go together, that is just fine. That's your personality. You may want to purchase a color wheel. We have them here. They're less than $5, and they're just a nice guide to give you some tips on putting different colors together. Again, the thing to remember with that, there are no rules, true rules about color. You'll find using a color wheel that different variations of any color go with any color. It's just what variation of the color you use. So really you can throw those rules out for this quilt, but I want you to have fun and be comfortable with it. So use the technique that you prefer. You want to be accurate, so again, make sure you're using your 1/4 inch seam, and I'm going to give you just a quick demo on how to use your easy angle ruler here. What the pattern's going to do is tell you what size strip to cut. This is a 2.5 inch strip, and I'm going to cut my 2.5 inch angles. So I'm going to lay my easy angle 2 right on my strip. You can see I'm lining up the very edge of the strip with the 2.5 inch mark on the ruler, which is right here. I'm just going to line that up, and then I'm going to take my rotary cutter and cut right along that angle. Then I'm just going to flip my ruler over and do the same thing, lining up this angle that I just cut with this angle of the ruler. So real simple ruler to use. If you have any questions, you can always give us a call, but I don't think you'll have any problems on this ruler. She tells you to cut a 2.5 inch strip in this block, and I think a 4.5 inch strip. So if your strip is bigger, you line it up on the size of your strip, the 4.5 inch line. So real easy angle to use, and I don't think you'll have any problems at all. I think that's pretty much it for your first quilt. Like I said, we enjoy helping you here at the shop. If you have questions, you can come in and sew with us. Just give us a call and let us know if we can help. Thanks very much for joining the club.